Hi everyone, welcome back to another Teacher Surgery where we take real relatable questions from parents like yourself. I'm your host Kelly and joining me today is Nyasha, Emeka and Danielle. Nice to have a gentleman on the panel. Hi Emeka,
Good
how
to
you
be
doing?
here. I'm good, thank you.
Ladies, how are you? Are you well?
We're good, thank you.
I love that me and Danielle have matched the energy with two bright colours. Love it. Let's jump right into the question.
Okay, you've left me out, okay.
It's fine, Nyasha.
Next episode.
Listen, black is black excellence. It's a celebration. Let's jump into the question. How can we support young males in education to stop being excluded from mainstream schools? So let's jump to Emeka. Seems like he's ready to go.
I'm ready. I'm ready to tackle this one. For me, it's something that I've been thinking about for a long time anyway, and I feel like it's going straight to the grassroots of what I think the issues are. Similar to when we speak about fathers being in the household, and I feel like there's a lack of male teachers. In secondary schools, only 38% of teachers in general are males, and in primary schools only 15%.
Okay.
And so for me, we need to show young people and children that men also care about education and the impact that they can have. And all the research that talks about fatherhood and the impact the fathers have in the home, it's similar when you look at the research in terms of the male teachers when they are able to, especially handle young males in an educational setting as well, especially when you're talking about dealing with behavior and having a direct role model to look at. There's so many other things, but those are the things that I just wanted to initiate as part of the conversation. And I'll let the ladies talk about their point of views as well. But for me, fundamentally, I think it's about the lack of males in education in general.
Okay, so yeah, for me as well, I think it's bringing something that they can relate to into the curriculum to give them a better understanding for the way for them to remember it. For example, with boys, if they like football, link it to football. In English and maths or science, anything, find the link to keep them engaged, and it's a way to help them remember it.
I think, I'd like to touch on both of their points. I think it's very important that we do have more male role models. I think one of the things that I've sort of seen across education is that a lot of males are in jobs that are learning mentors, support roles.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Most of the time, those support teachers actually can control the whole behaviour, in fact, even in the whole school.
Sure.
So this is sometimes, and which a lot of the students end up really respecting, liking some of those learning mentors because they come from a similar background. However, I find that when it comes to promotion, when it comes to them suddenly being able to then be asked, oh, maybe I can put you on a course to teach.
Sure.
This is not happening in schools. And
Okay.
so what happens is that we just have these core bodies who are actually dealing with behaviour all the time. Mm-hmm. And it's usually people from working class backgrounds. So we'll have our learning mentor, he'll be somebody from the hood, or it'll be our learning mentor who understands these students. But we need teachers, we need male teachers as a role model. And I think the other thing as well, which is very important, is the relationship, the language between working class students and middle class teachers.
Sure.
A lot of females, because the schools have a lot of predominantly female, there is sometimes a lack of understanding, being frightened of cultures, being frightened of, oh, this child appears aggressive. When we were teaching at a particular college, it was predominantly white working class. And we, many of us yourself coming from a white working class background, you're able to really relate, weren't you?
It is relating.
I think that's one of the key issues.
And I think the key issue as well is sticking to the primary problem, because you find more so males than females. If you ask them to do something, they've got two choices. They're going to do it or they're going to challenge you.
Sure.
And they're going to challenge you not because they want to argue with you, but they've got to keep up this reputation in front of their friends. And it's the way you ask it, and it's how you show them up in the classes, the respect you're going to get back from them. And as long as you can, for example, if I was to say put your phone away and stare at you, now you've got the whole class staring at you.
Yeah.
Do you put your phone away or do you argue back? And which one is going to keep your reputation where it is? If from a teacher's point you just go, okay, can you put your phone away, then carry on the conversation, they're more. It's not an
It's not made it an
issue, so they
issue.
might just slide it away. It's not seen for everybody else, and that way you get the respect from the learner as well. If you've got their respect, they want to learn. It's when the respect, like Nyasha said, and the relationship isn't there, their guard's up, the teacher's guard's up, and the learning's not going to happen.
I want to ask Emeka a question, because you started this point about having more male role models in school and having more teachers in school, male teachers in school. So how do we do that, Emeka? How do we cultivate a generation to say teaching is a great profession and actually you're really needed and wanted in schools?
Give them more money.
I think,
Make it attractive.
Offering more money.
That's part of it in regards to going back to Nyasha's point. There are people who are already part of the education system in terms of these behaviour mentors.
Yeah.
I was one myself in my transition because I was a youth worker originally.
Oh, wow.
And I've seen the consequences. So if we're going back to that word excluded, I've seen the consequences of when these young people are excluded from school. Yeah. So they end up, they're part of the youth club, but they end up deeper in the streets.
Sure, absolutely.
They become, I like to call it in too deep, in essence, because all of a sudden you've socially excluded them and you take away somebody's hope. And so they now self-fulfilling prophecy. The school didn't think I was good enough. I don't think I'm good enough. Nobody thinks I'm good enough. So I've got nothing to lose if I go and do this. And so that was part of the problem. So when I eventually went into education as a behavior mentor, I was motivated because I was one of these young men who were able to help control behavior. So I'm saying, if I now have the power as the teacher, not only am I controlling behavior, but I'm now imparting knowledge, which is the most important thing they're doing in school. And another point that I wanted to bring to this is something we call performativity. And this is when education was turned into a marketplace, essentially. And so everything's all about league tables and statistics, the facade of being the best school.
Yeah.
So parents become the consumers of education. And part of that, every school wanted their children to come for funding is when they are manipulating grades. And when I say manipulating, for instance, I had a young man who was, we call it minor disruptions. So in this particular school, they do it in points. So you needed 70 points in order to be excluded, all right? When I went to his parents' evening, he was on 130, but he's never been suspended or excluded. But then I said to him, what are your predicted grades for GCSEs? He was predicted good grades, but he's a low-level disruptor.
Sure.
But then another student, he was only a 90, but is predicted D's and E's, has been suspended many, many times. So again, the numbers in the long term look good for the school if we keep that student, even though he's breaking the policy of the behavioral policy, but we're going to keep him because it makes the school look good in the long run. And so these are all part of the problem as well in terms of education, and that's just me sort of nitpicking as well.
And I think also, just to add, having worked in a pupil referral unit, I think it's important as well, it also goes back to the parents, making sure that when your child is in mainstream school and you're hearing that your child is going to be excluded, even before that, get involved. The problem sometimes I find, especially with children who are going to be excluded, or it looks like they're going down that road, is that parents are never really involved in, sometimes you speak to the parents, they don't even know what class their child is in. They don't even know what they're studying. They just phone up and scream. They don't have any sort of structure to what, and they don't know how to approach certain teachers. Sometimes they just take it.
Okay, Nyasha, can I just stop you there?
Yeah.
Because this is really interesting point. And one of the things that I kind of think about and I want us to kind of gain more awareness on this. What are the questions that I should be asking? If the teacher is saying your child's badly behaved or he keeps on getting suspended, what are the questions I should be going back to that teacher and saying? What should I be asking?
To me, it's why.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got to look at, are they sitting in a class where they don't understand? If you don't understand something, you're not going to say, I don't understand, you're going to misbehave, it will get you out of the class, saves you the embarrassment. Or flip it the other way, do you understand, you're not stimulated, you're bored.
Yeah.
So you understand, they're not challenging you, you're bored, but you start misbehaving, you get sent out of the classroom. So it's always the why, are they on the right level?
Yes.
Are they doing the work? Do they
getting
understand?
enough support?
That's what I'm saying. If they
within
don't
the class?
understand, are they getting the support that they need to help them understand? Because you know yourself, and I think more so with males than females, you're not going to put your hand up and say, I don't understand.
Yeah.
Sure.
And if that teacher asks you a question, you're not going to tell her you don't understand. But if you play up, you know you're going to get sent out of the room. So it's the easier option to take.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, in saying that with parents, again, like I say, make sure, so you're saying, what questions do I have to ask? Well, firstly, what level is my child on? Is this a suitable level? Always do, you know, sometimes we stick to staff meetings, we stick to parents' meetings. Yeah, or parents' evenings.
As a way
but
to
phone
engage.
in the school and say, today I'd like to come in, can I make an appointment please? I just want to know my child's progress. That sometimes ruffles the teachers because they haven't got things in place.
Sure.
But they have to quickly get things in place. Have communication with the school. Talk to talk to the teachers. Don't see them always as an enemy. And don't always go to them just for a problem. Even if your child is doing exceedingly well, doesn't mean, it could mean that, you know, tomorrow they have a fight and then they're in a pupil referral unit. And that's not to say that pupil referral units are bad. Sometimes they work brilliantly, you know, and some students actually achieve and still go on to get their qualifications.
I think as well, it's also like asking them, where are they falling behind? What are the school, not only are the school going to do, because you do want to know what they're going to do, they've got to take ownership as well, but what can you do as a parent?
Yes.
What can I do to help them?
Yeah.
Is there any particular books? Is there any
Additional
resources?
support and help.
But it's important, that's what I'm saying, to also ask the school what are they going to do so they're not putting it all on you.
And also to read their educational plan as well. If they've got a
Sometimes
plan,
they don't always have one, do they?
Yes, that's right. Sometimes it says on there, you know, this is how you should teach my student. This is the best way of getting them. But then the teacher doesn't, and then they're just shouting, and it's you know, and then in the end they end up getting excluded.
I guess to conclude this point, I'll just add that the young people themselves need to take responsibilities for their own behaviour as well. And I think that's a fundamental thing, because we can sit here and obviously, I won't say give them excuses, because these are valid things that are obviously pushing towards them being excluded, but in terms of making sure that they're also in control of their own behaviour and being aware of how the school system works.
And putting the onus on the young person as well, especially if they're at an age where they can take some responsibility for their actions.
Definitely.
This is such an amazing topic. I feel like I have like 10 million questions.
Yes, I think a lot of parents will.
Yeah,
and you know,
so many questions came to
Yeah.
my head about that. Like, Emeka, were you encouraged and supported to progress and become a teacher? And actually, how do I choose a school that I know will be suitable for my child to grow and thrive? I think that might be helpful to a parent that's kind of facing these challenges or thinking about, actually, will my child succeed in this school? But thank you guys for just imparting that wisdom. I feel like I've learned so much, and I was like agreeing, and I just wanted you to kind of like let this to speak for itself and use your knowledge, because I think this is such an important topic for us to cover for parents, regardless of whatever background they come from. Okay, so I've got a bonus question. I am gonna let Emeka choose a question, and Emeka, if you choose pink, I will not hold it against you.
I'm going with green. I like the sofa, so I'm going with green.
Okay, cool. Read it out, Emeka, and then you can get someone to answer.
My child didn't get the GCSE grades they wanted.
Oh, wow.
And as a result, they have been pushed towards BTECs. Why are BTECs undervalued?
Lovely. So, let's go to Danielle. Tell us why you think BTECs are undervalued.
Personally, for me, I don't think they should be undervalued. I think it's a good route for learners that struggle. It takes some of the pressure off of them. But I think people look at, I should be doing A-levels, I should be doing this, I should be doing that, and I want to do all of these to go to uni to become this. So then it undervalues them itself. I think it's about let's put it this way, it's about the title.
Yeah.
If it was an A-level BTEC, it wouldn't be so much.
Parents would look at it more as like, oh yeah, well it's still A-levels.
Yeah.
They're doing A-levels.
And I think a lot of them, some of them see like the BTEC at a level 2 is equivalent to a GCSE, so they don't feel they're moving forward, but actually they are, because it's breaking it down and giving them a better understanding. And I know with this year, with a lot of it changing in the BTECs, more becoming exam-based rather than coursework, it is getting in line with the way the A-levels are going, and they're equally becoming just as hard, but more valued around one thing of what they want to do, with the practical, the hands-on, and broken down easier for them.
Yeah, I mean, I think also It's just about people's perception. You know, there's always this sort of route, isn't there? Got to pass GCSEs, then go on to A levels, then go on to a degree, and then maybe go on to a master's. It's this, so anything outside of that, parents or even students think, oh, I don't know, what's that? That doesn't sound like A level. And I think that's also across the world, really, because most of the education is based around what used to be called the O levels, and then A levels, and then the same thing. So I think just getting rid of that taboo, understanding that your child doesn't necessarily have to go down the route of A levels. Don't force them if they don't want to go down that route. And BTECs, you have such a variety of subjects, choices, things that relate to the working world. So why not, you know, just have that option of the BTECs.
Absolutely. And personally, my daughter done her BTECs and finished college with what was equivalent to 2 A's and an A star.
Yeah.
And allowed her to pursue an interest in a topic that she loved and was really interested in. So
see that's part of the problem itself, even within what you said, because as soon as we use the word equivalent,
yes,
then it lowers it.
So we need to sometimes change our language.
Well, that's the way she was giving the grades back.
And for me, fundamentally, I feel like, playing devil's advocate, we need to look at teachers as to the primary problem of the perception of this is based on how teachers have made us look from day one. So like you said, the route is GCSEs, A levels, degree, and so on and so forth. So when somebody's not academic, they're now pushed towards go and do a BTEC vocational, which now seems like a failure.
Yes.
All right. So for instance, you get a heavyweight boxer that's not Anthony Joshua. They're known as the BTEC Joshua.
Oh no, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's BTEC is used in that mannerism, because that's how it's been undervalued in terms of it's been pushed from that side of, okay, you're not academically inclined, and so go and do bricklaying and engineering or all these things. But as a standalone, those things are great skills within themselves. So it shouldn't have to be because you're not good at writing an essay that you should now do that. You should just do that because you're good at that. That's the great option
for you. Yeah. Guys, thank you.
Can I just add to that?
Go on,
I think
Danielle.
as well, sorry, very quickly.
It's
the very same as a GCSE and a functional skill.
Yes,
people undervalue the functional skill and call it the equivalent. But
when it's level 2,
it's a level 2 and exactly the same as a GCSE.
Thank you for that clarification. Somewhere out there, I know someone's going to use that and quote that. So thank you. Guys, that brings an end to our show today. I hope you've taken so many of the lessons and knowledge. Watch it again, because I'll watch it again as well, because I need to take some stuff and kind of think about, what did they say? What does that mean? So absolutely, hope you enjoyed it and look forward to seeing you again for another episode of The Teacher Surgery. Thank you.